One miracle after another. The Pavel Goya story. Chapter 3. Glass Trouble. I think I could go into business for myself, Pavel thought, as he walked home from the building commissioner's office. I could make some real money if I kept working with glass. The money he had earned from the commercial construction project was just the inspiration he needed to pursue a business of his own. A little simple math promised him more spending money than most tradesmen earned to support their families. He knew the government controlled all enterprise. Only those registering under the category mandatory private could operate a personal business. Audits were performed on a regular basis to ensure business owners remained in compliance. The system was quite simple. The business owner was allowed to keep 35% of the profit, while 65% went directly to the government. No one argued. It was just the way it was. Upon obtaining his permit, he rented a room adjoining another business. The location was ideal. His storefront was on a main street near the downtown area. With the purchase of a few tools, he was ready for business. The large government cooperative, located at the center of each city and town, regulated the sale of all building materials. The co-op consisted of a complex of large warehouses. A separate building housed the materials for each trade. Locating the glass division of the local co-op, Pavel filled out the necessary paperwork to purchase glass on consignment, allowing him to pay only for the materials he used. The large warehouse was stocked with wooden crates containing glass of all sizes and thicknesses. One area displayed decorative specialty glasses such as frosted, beveled, and wire glass. Pavel selected 2 crates of the most commonly sized glass as stock for his new shop. The crates housed 22 sheets of glass measuring 6 feet by 7 feet. With glass and crating combined, the weight of these crates sometimes exceeded 4,000 pounds. A special delivery truck equipped with a crane transported the glass from the warehouse to the delivery site. With his glass delivered, Pavel now had a shop ready for business. In a short time, he was busy cutting glass for new homes and decorative remodeling projects. His pleasant smile and friendly personality quickly won the confidence of customers. Many custom projects presented challenges he had never previously encountered. But with God's blessing, each customer walked out of his door satisfied, many of them enthusiastically promoting the work of the youngest glazier in the country. His craftsmanship and attention to detail caused word to spread quickly that the new kid in town was good. Soon, his was one of the most successful glass businesses in town, with more customers than he could handle. After becoming established, while juggling school and work, he earned more than double the salary of most men who worked all day and weekends. Early each Friday afternoon, he closed his shop until the following Monday. The promise of more money didn't entice him in the least to remain open for weekend business. Pavel was considered one of the leaders at his church. His primary responsibility was the youth. Once a month, he organized them as a worship team responsible for the entire service. He also enjoyed his position as director of the choir. Joining others in worship was his favorite part of the week. He wouldn't miss it for anything. One day, the large, imposing president of the co-op stepped into his shop to congratulate him on the success of his new business. With a smile, he said, "Pavel, you're making a lot of money for us. We can't believe that you're able to do so well working only part-time. If school didn't stand in your way, you could no doubt double your profits. We want you to quit school and operate your business full-time." "No, I can't do that," Pavel said, shaking his head. "Why not? You have a great business with a good salary. What more could you want?" As he turned and walked towards the door, he called over his shoulder, "If you think about it, I'm sure you will change your mind." A couple of weeks later, the president of the co-op returned, hoping his 17-year-old entrepreneur had considered the wisdom in his suggestion. To his dismay, he learned that Pavel hadn't entertained his proposition for even a moment. The president's friendly demeanor faded. In tones of obvious frustration, he said, "You don't work in the mornings because you go to school. You don't work Saturdays because you go to church. You don't work Sundays because it's your free time. You simply have to start working weekends. That's the time most people make repairs on their homes. I already make a lot of money. I don't need to work weekends." "You must have missed my point. I'm not suggesting weekends as an option. I'm telling you it's mandatory." "Well, I'm sorry, but I simply can't work weekends," Pavel said unflinchingly. Once again, the president exited the door, this time obviously displeased. A week later, he returned, determined to settle the weekend work issue. "I have a directive signed by my superiors insisting you begin to work on the weekends, effective immediately. I will begin working Sundays to satisfy the government, but I will not work Saturdays for anyone," Pavel replied firmly. The next Sunday, he began the new work schedule. After a couple of weeks, the revenues proved the president's theory to be true. Now, he was making even more money. Business was booming. The co-op president returned once again. His presence in the doorway was beginning to be a regular occurrence. Without wasting time on small talk, he said, "I thought I made myself clear about you working on Saturdays. I'm getting tired of you disregarding my instructions. Now I hope I make myself clear. You will work Saturdays as well as Sundays. You have no choice." "I can't." "Nobody tells me no. What I say is the way it is. Refusing me is not an option." Calmly, Pavel stood looking into the face of the official, getting angrier by the minute. "You listen to me. Either you work Saturdays or you're out of a job." "That's up to you, I guess. I already told you I'm not working, so it appears you're forcing me to quit." Angrier than ever, the president stormed from the shop. There was nothing left to discuss. He hadn't supposed Pavel would be willing to just walk away from his profitable business. His bluff had backfired. For a few weeks, Pavel enjoyed the free time created by his closed business. However, after a month, the president called on him again. This time, he came with the news that the name of his co-op was becoming tarnished because of his deteriorating business. Not just the glass division was underperforming, each of the other areas had gone flat as well. The missing income from Pavel's glass shop only added to the dismal picture. Instead of being one of the top co-ops, they were now near the bottom. Pavel simply had to come back and reopen his shop. Agreeing he opened his doors for business once again. After a few weeks, the president returned, his massive frame obscuring the doorway once again. He quickly made it apparent he was more determined than ever. The shop would be open for business on Saturday. If you're not willing to choose to work on Saturdays, I've decided to force you to, he began. His speech was beginning to sound like a record stuck in the same groove. I can't, stated Pavel. Don't you get stubborn and butt heads with me because you'll lose. Listen, this is not about getting stubborn. I can't work Saturdays. Yes, you can. No, I can't. Yes, you can and you will, the president retorted. Nobody has ever treated me this way before. I will teach you a lesson you'll never forget. I'm promising you that when I'm finished with you, you will respect my authority and my commands. You wait and see. Soon you will gladly follow my orders, he shouted as he stomped through the door. In a couple of weeks, Pavel found his glass supply almost gone. It was the end of the week, and he would need more glass to resume business the following week. Calling the warehouse, he placed his usual order for 2 crates of glass. When he returned on Sunday, 2 familiar objects rested directly in front of his doorway. He never dreamed that in front of his shop, he would see the 2 rotten crates that had been sitting outside the glass warehouse for the past 2 years. As men ordering glass had come and gone from the warehouse, they had watched the wooden crates deteriorate month after month. As the months went by, the crates had become a joke as they sat rotting in the weather. Now, here they were, blocking his doorway. A single rain could ruin an entire rack of glass. The changing temperature of moisture between the sheets would create such a powerful vacuum that the entire rack would become virtually welded together. These sheets had not just endured 1 dose of rain, but hundreds over the past 2 years. How anyone could have held the crumbling wood of the rotten crates together while transporting them from the warehouse was indeed a mystery. Now, he had 2 solid blocks of glass, weighing 4,000 pounds each, sitting in front of his door, with wooden shipping crates too rotten to move them. True to his word, the president of the co-op had arranged for this special shipment. He was planning to teach Pavel a lesson he would never forget. Standing next to the crates of glass, he greeted Pavel with a sinister smile. I had these crates of glass delivered here yesterday. When I dropped them off, they were new. But look what has happened to them since you didn't come to work on Saturday. The responsibility is yours since you weren't at work as you were instructed. In our country, people are expected to work Saturdays, he said with a smirk. You better fix this glass or you'll have to pay for it. From here, I'm going to the courthouse to file a judgment against you. I'll give you 10 days to either fix the glass or pay for it in full. If you don't, you'll go to prison, he said with a sneer. Pavel knew that the value of the glass was equivalent to 3 months' wages, far more than any government judgment against him. However, the prospect of prison was not an idle threat. People had gone to prison over missing money, even though they hadn't taken it. If only he had saved some of the money he had earned. It had been easy come, easy go. Rather than saving, he had gone on trips and frivolously purchased motorcycles, camping equipment, or whatever he desired at the moment. Now he was in a serious predicament. If only he had some of the money he had spent so freely, he wouldn't be in this situation. Repeatedly, he went to the president's office, attempting to reason with him. Each time, the president only got angrier and more determined in his position. Pavel was either to repair the glass or pay up. If he didn't, prison was waiting for him. And if Pavel came back for any more visits, the police would be on their way. After a few days, Pavel decided to brave one last visit to the president's office. Walking in, he began his final appeal. You can put me in prison, but how will that benefit your co-op? You think you're going to make me work Saturdays, and that by doing so, your profits will double. But even if I lose my freedom, I'm not going to work Saturdays. So you can either withdraw your judgment or ruin my life. However, you know that your business will profit nothing with me in prison. Your profit margin will look even worse before the county audit committee. So what will you gain by going ahead with your plan? The bottom line is that I'm not going to work Saturdays. So why not let me increase my hours on Sunday, and your numbers will increase accordingly. If you want me to, I will even increase my hours during the week, he pleaded. Okay, if you return the 2 crates of glass undamaged and in good condition, I will let you continue your business. On the other hand, if the glass is damaged while you're handling it, you will have to pay for it in full. I'm going to punish you and teach you a lesson I believe will change your mind. So go ahead and attempt to return the glass, he said with a baleful smile. Since the condition of the wooden crates made moving them impossible, his offer was nothing more than a foolproof trap. For days, Pavel had been praying, but now it felt as if his world would surely collapse on him. Seeing his long face, his father asked what was troubling him. After explaining his plight, he listened intently to his father share from his personal experience with God. You don't have to beg God. You told him once about your need. Don't you think he heard you? He said. You don't have to keep asking him for the same thing over and over. Just give your problem to him. I don't know how to do that, Pavel said weakly. If you prayed once, don't ask him for the same thing again and again. You told God you were giving him permission to work. Why don't you let him work in whatever way he sees best? But nothing is happening. Well, God does not always answer on the schedule that we have outlined for him. You have to be patient as you wait for God. You don't want to be like King Saul. He waited 7 days for Samuel the prophet's return to offer a sacrifice to God. He got tired of waiting for the prophet and decided to go offer the sacrifice himself. You know the story. If only he would have waited just a little longer. When you pray, you need to trust God and not become impatient. He will answer in his time and in his way. One last time, Pavel went back to the co-op president's office to inform him of his final decision not to work Saturdays. Whatever happens, tomorrow I'm having the glass crates shipped back to your warehouse. That afternoon, he hired a delivery truck with a crane to meet him at his shop. Not wanting to miss the disaster he was sure would take place, the president of the co-op, with some of his staff, came to witness the event. Waiting customers joined the ranks as spectators. Seeing a crowd gathering, several people happening by on the street decided to stop and watch as well. When the delivery truck driver arrived and inspected the crates, he wanted no part in moving them. These crates weigh about 4,000 pounds. These rotten crates will never hold together, he said, shaking his head. I will take full responsibility, Pavel assured him. I won't touch these crates unless you sign a release waiver for all liabilities. With the documents signed, the leery driver swung his crane into position, dropping the cables down to the crates. Hooking them to the rigging blocks mounted on the first crate, he began to lift. Breathlessly, Pavel watched as the slack left the cables and the rotten wooden crate lifted, gently swaying as it left the ground. Steadily, the driver lifted the crate until it was about 8 feet in the air. Just as he was preparing to swing the crate to the truck, a startling crashing sound rang out. The bottom had suddenly dropped from the crate. The many long months of sitting in water and mud had taken its toll. With nothing to support it, the cube of welded glass began a free fall. But to the amazement of all, it mysteriously halted its descent just beneath the crate. The bottomless crate swung back and forth above the 4,000 block of glass suspended in air. In unison, the crowd of spectators gasped. For a long couple of minutes, no one dared to breathe. The entire crowd remained frozen in their tracks. Time stood still. Pavel felt his knees begin to knock together beneath him. The driver, with his hands still on the controls of the crane, proved to be equally shaken. In tones barely above a whisper, he asked, "What shall I do?" "I don't know," was all Pavel could reply. And all at once, an idea came like a flash into his mind. "Lower the crate back over the glass," he instructed the driver. Slowly, the driver lowered the crate back over the cube of suspended glass. As the crate completely enclosed the glass, they descended in unison back to the ground. The driver wrapped steel cables several times around the crate before lifting it to the bed of his truck. The spectators stood in silence as the truck drove away. They were unsure if they had been dreaming or if a giant mass of glass had just suspended itself in mid-air. The president of the co-op came over to Pavel, more stammering than talking. Pale and in shock, he attempted to form words. With his mouth quivering, he whispered, "Just deliver the glass back to the warehouse. You don't need to worry about paying for it, and you don't need to worry about the report to the police. I will take care of everything. Just leave your business and never come back. And please, don't curse me or my family." Turning, he walked away convinced that if the God Pavel served could suspend 4,000 pounds of glass in the air, he no doubt could deal unkindly with him and his family should Pavel so dictate. From that miraculous day onward, Pavel repeatedly experienced God going before him, removing obstacles and solving problems as he put him first. He never forgot God's beautiful promise. If you put me first, I will take care of you. The end of chapter 3. One miracle after another. The Pavel Goya story.